Hey guys, time once again for another episode of Day in the Life of Vintage Classic Specialist. So as you can see, I got the transmission in the 64 bus today. It was a pain in the ass. This is actually my first time doing one of these with the reduction box delete, and so it's a pain in the ass. It's very hard to actually get the axle into the spring plate. It's sitting like way above it, and so you essentially have to like jack the spring plate up to get the axle into its slot, and that's true on both sides, of course, and it's a pain. So not just me. I talked to Brian Roth, who I mentioned before. He's actually done a lot of these. This was my first doing this conversion on a bus. He agrees, it's a pain in the ass, but nonetheless, it went together, and so yeah, it's gonna look bitchin'. So there you go. That is kind of the main thing I did on this bus today. I actually started looking at installing the disc brake kit, and lo and behold, I was missing the bearing retainer that goes right there. Basically, this caliper mount goes on here, and then the bearing retainer goes over that with 4 bolts. It holds the bearing in. It's got a oil seal on it, and so on. Caliper mounts on this thing, and then obviously the rotor, and goes on there. But yeah, I was missing those caps, so Brian Roth to the rescue. He had one, so I got to go see if I can find another one tomorrow. Probably Eddie at Eddie and Dave's garage will probably have the second one of the ones I need. So yeah, just one of those things. Sometimes projects go like that. You don't know what you're missing until you actually start going to put it together, and then you're like, oh yeah, I need those things, and I don't have them. But in the meantime, what I did was I went ahead and cleaned up the rotors and got those painted. It came out pretty nice. And so yeah, these are pretty much ready to go on now. Once I get the other bearing cap, which looks like this, I'll sandblast them both, and probably, I don't know what I'm going to do with them. Paint them, or maybe I'll blacken them, or maybe I'll zinc plate them here in-house. Not sure. Obviously, I'm not putting them on looking like this, and again, I still need to get a second one, but I'll do something to them that I can do relatively quickly so that this can go together tomorrow. So yeah, there those are. The other thing I did was I started working a little bit on this guy today, again, and I actually mounted, at least temporarily, mounted the dash up in here, and I found a couple of issues that we're going to have to resolve here. So this is the thing that kind of drives me crazy about bay windows. They change stuff on these all the time. So this bus being an early bay window, it's 68 or 69, they changed the dash in like 70 and 71, and then I think again in like 72 or so. And the issue is this is not a 68, 69. This is a later one. I think a 70 to 72. I don't even know. But the problem is it's not actually compatible with his other parts. So this is the support for the steering column. So steering column comes from the floor, runs up, and goes through this thing here. Well, that doesn't fit. This is supposed to have a much deeper cutout right here that this thing kind of like slots up into, so it would fit about like that, but actually like go into there. This one, being a later one, it has a very, very shallow cutout that's also much wider than what this one should be. So that's annoying. And then also, they changed where the fuse box was mounted on these things like all the time also, apparently. So on the 68 and 69, This was mounted about here, like underneath the dash. And this was actually why I was waiting to finish wiring this thing until I got the dash, because knowing that this would actually mount on the dash. Well, this being a later dash, they moved the mounting location up here somewhere. I don't even know where. Somewhere up in here, or yeah. So this doesn't mount on this dash either. So pretty much nothing is fitting. I talked to Eddie at OC Westy, who kind of specializes in bay windows, and he's going to help me out here. He said he can actually modify this piece so that it'll be compatible with this dash, and then as far as the fuse box is concerned, I think I can probably just put a couple holes up underneath here, and this will pretty much be mounted exactly like it's supposed to. So that's not a big deal, but the steering is actually kind of a big deal, because this thing has to be in the right place and it has to be mounted, you know, rigidly and so on. So yeah, we'll get it sorted out. But, you know, that having been said, of course, I wasn't able to make nearly as much progress as I would have otherwise if stuff actually fit, because stuff doesn't fit. So that was my day anyway on this bus. Parts not being compatible on this one, and then missing a couple important parts on the bay window. So the buses were out to get me today, but that's okay. Some days are like that. Jacob was in for a few hours today, and he cleaned up his wiring a little bit more on his bug, and helped me out for a few minutes putting that dash in this bug, or bus rather. And then he went over to Brian Roth's shop with me. I thought he should meet Brian, one of the other local VW Brians. So anyway, that was pretty much my day. So that is it for today, guys, and we will see you again tomorrow. Thanks for watching.